Welcome back students. So in this session we'll try to understand about process automation. So during your project development, process automation and change management is very crucial. So this is required in order to establish your iterative process very effectively. That is your process automation and the change management. It is very important step when you go with your iterative process. So here this will, if the process automation is going to be very expensive, then the total margin on your project is going to be related down, or your project is going to resist on the total margin that is provided on your process automation. So when you are going with this process automation, your round trip engineering, and so we have this point called as round trip engineering, and your integrated environments. So these are going to promote you the total cost vested on your process automation. So this will give you the freedom to use the different types of models that can be helped in your project development. So there are different metrics that are going to affect the process control here. So basically we have three different types of three levels of your metrics here. Along with this metrics, even the stakeholders are also going to play a major role within this process automation, because this will also help the stakeholders to understand how your process is going to behave, right? So the three different levels, right? So we have these three different levels related to your process here. First is your meta process. So this particular meta process is going to is also called as line of business. This is called as line of business, and this particular meta process is going to work on your infrastructure majorly. Right? So this meta process is purely dependent on automating the infrastructure of your project. Second is your macro process. So this macro process, we also call it as your project model. So this particular macro process is going to purely depend on the environments that are used in your project. So environments that are dependent on designing your project is what we call it as your macro process. And third we have is your microprocess. So this particular microprocess is working on each and every iteration of your project development, and this is going to focus on the different tools that are used for each and every phase, or the different tool that is used for each and every iteration. That is what discussed about your microprocess. So your process automation, it is generally going to be defined as a digital way or digital phenomena, or the use of your digital technology in order to develop your project which you are going to work with. So the usage of your digital technology is what your project automation going to do. So this particular project automation is going to focus on different artifacts. The major artifacts that is related is the total environment, the environment that is used on your project development. So here on different workflows, we have different tools or digital tools that are available now, which can help you in automating your process. So if you want to work with your management, we are supposed to automate this metrics here. If you want to work on this environment workflow, then you are supposed to automate these documents which are working related to your workflows. When you want to work with your requirements, you are supposed to work with the identification of the requirements from the users, and so on. So we'll try to understand what are these different workflows, and which workflow, which process you are going to automate. So when you go with your management, so management, it majorly focus on the project development related to the project development, and this is going to work with the automation tools which help you in breakdowning the structure of your project, right? So this majorly focus on automating this work breakdown structures of your project. So how many people are employed and how many work breakdown structures can be defined, that is taken by your management here. So when you go with this environment, so environment stands for developing the infrastructure for the project development here. So this environment is going to work throughout the life cycle. What are different tools you are using, what are different IDs that are supposed to be used, on which environment your project is supposed to be done. So all these are supposed to be documented, and this can be done with the emphasis of your change management also. If the management is changed, which environment that particular management is going to emphasize on. So all these will fall under your environments. When you go with your requirements, so this particular requirements, we say it as a systematic way. So these requirements are supposed to be performed in a systematic way. So what are these requirements going to do is, they are going to document the total data from the users. So whenever I say documenting the total data, it is going to take the total requirements from the user. It is going to step by step document that particular data. After documenting, it is going to work on what are necessary steps that are supposed to be taken, and it is also going to work on with the agreements related to the user and the that is the stakeholder and the developer or the project teams, and it is also going to ensure that whether your project is in line with the requirements of the stakeholder or not. So this particular process is supposed to be automated in your requirements phase. And next, when you go with your design phase, so design phase works with visual description of or visual description of your project here. So here this design is majorly focusing on automating your project by using certain tools which can visually represent what are the requirements of the user are and how it is going to be exercised by the programmer. So there are a number of tools you have in order to work with this designing automation, and whenever you go with this implementation is a way of coding your data. That is, it is a way of writing your programs, and it is also going to emphasize on testing your data also. So here we have various tools which help you in writing your programs into your as per the design is concerned and testing this particular data. So this particular implementation is majorly depending on the programming environment that you are going to use, and this is going to majorly focus on the construction phase of your program or construction phase of your project development. So implementation works with this two different parts on this particular phase. And when you go with this assessment, so assessment, this is the initial step which is taken in your project development, and the responsibility of this particular assessment test is in order to identify the bugs related to your project or the flaws that are available in your project by performing certain assessments on your project, either occasionally or at each and every unit of your project development. So this will help you in understanding the quality and quantity information related to your project and documenting that particular data into the requirements or the agreement which is provided by the user. So there are a number of assessment tools that are available which help you in identifying flaws in your project and overcoming these particular flaws in your upcoming iterations at each and every iteration or throughout your project. And when you go with this deployment, so deployment is this is the next step in your assessment phase itself. So this deals with on which particular environment you are going to deploy and whether the project which is developed is in line with that particular consumer requirement or not. So this deployment is also a tool which helps in assessing the project which is developed. So in order to work with all these phases, we have different types of automation tools that are available. So some okay, we'll go with some automation tools. We have one Git repository called as version control. So this particular version control is going to help you out in understanding which particular software development version you are using. So like this, we have different types of automation tools that are available. So that is all for this particular lecture. So this particular automation is going to majorly focus on how the automation is performed. We'll meet in your next lecture.